I think we're ready to go. So hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar, Protect Your Clients' Real Estate Assets and Prosper with Umbrella Insurance. My name is Mike Schley. I'm a regional sales executive at Distinguished Programs. I have experience providing risk management and insurance services to key accounts, as well as managing and developing broker relationships at every level. Before joining Distinguished Programs, I spent nearly 15 years in executive sales and business development positions at AIG. Just a note, we'll be sending all registrants a copy of the slides, the webinar recording, and a PDF with the questions and answers from today's sessions. So if we don't get to all of your questions live today, they will be addressed in the information that sends out. And if you have a question during the presentation, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Distinguished Programs is a leading national insurance program manager providing specialized insurance programs for the real estate, community association, hotel, and restaurant space, serving the same core markets and partnering with the most stable and reputable carriers. Distinguished Programs' high limit umbrella and primary insurance programs remain the clear choice in their areas of specialty for superior coverage, competitive pricing, and attentive service. Joining us today are Carly Heitloff. Carly is the product manager for our real estate umbrella. She's a graduate of Central Washington University, and she's been in the insurance industry for 12 years. She began her career in life and health in 2010 and focused on long-term care insurance. In 2014, she switched gears to the property and casualty sector and joined Fulcrum Insurance Programs. Fulcrum Insurance Programs was acquired by Distinguished Programs. Carly joined the real estate umbrella underwriting team and has since been focused on underwriting profitable new business, building strong carrier relationships, assisting in the management of the program, as well as managing the real estate business underwriting team, the new business underwriting team. And Chris Larson. Chris is the product manager for our Express Umbrella program. Chris is a graduate of the University of Wisconsin in Madison and began his career as a commercial lines underwriter for Century Insurance. He joined Distinguished in 2017 with a background in underwriting, and since joining has underwritten both new business and renewal accounts in accordance with Distinguished's underwriting and program guidelines for 3 different programs within our company. Chris excels at working with retail brokers and carriers to meet their servicing needs and standards. Distinguished currently manages 6 distinct umbrella programs, 3 for the hospitality industry, 1 for restaurants, and the 2 programs we're here to discuss today that focus on real estate risks. We'll quickly run through some of our real estate insurance program basics before we get to some initial questions. So Carly, do you want to start?
Yes, I do. Thanks, Mike. So we're here today to specifically talk about our 2 real estate umbrella programs. You hear these referred as the Real Estate Umbrella Program and the Express Real Estate Umbrella Program. So while they have pretty similar appetites, there are some key eligibility differences that we will go through. Distinguished Programs has the ability to provide real estate umbrella insurance up to $140 million in limit. Chris, do you want to touch on some of the benefits of using Distinguished Programs?
Yeah, thanks, Carly, and thanks, Mike, for the intro. So some benefits of using Distinguished Programs, specifically these real estate programs that we're talking about today, is we Distinguished have the power of the pen and strong relationships with our carriers, which helps to get the right deals done. And really, I wanted to touch on this Express Umbrella product. We really try to provide that power of the pen to our retail brokers, our partners, especially on those risks where you're submitting them in the portal. They fit our program appetite. Oftentimes, not only can you submit, but as a broker, you may be able to quote and bind those risks. So really, Distinguished, we try to transfer that power of the pen to our brokers when we can. But some additional benefits of working with Distinguished is peace of mind. So you use our expertise to better serve your clients. We provide an unmatched solution, combining our expertise, service, limits and pricing for an unbeatable offering. We have competitive pricing, so leverage our buying power for low minimum premiums and high liability limits. And just to kind of show the difference here, so the Express umbrella product, we can do a 1 mil limit for $500 is the minimum premium, where the real estate umbrella, the larger tower, we can go up to 140 million of limits. So really both ends of the spectrum there. And we're world-class experts. We'll guide you and your clients through coverage to claims for absolute ease of use with our products. And then it's the next slide is on the Express umbrella, which I'll hit on as well. So our Express umbrella product is really broken into kind of two categories. So we have the Express Community Association umbrella, which is geared toward those smaller community association type risks. And then we also have the Express Real Estate umbrella, which is geared toward smaller real estate clients. We can do up to 5 locations for the Express umbrella product. And this product is also smaller limit needs. So we offer a 1 mil, 2 mil, 5 mil, and 10 mil limits for the Express umbrella product. And that product is available nationwide except for in the states of New York and the state of Georgia. And then the next slide is on the eligible property types for specifically the Express umbrella, so Express Real Estate. So really that Express Real Estate, the first kind of 4 categories here: office buildings, your LRO office buildings, strip shopping malls, standalone retail, fit into that Express Real Estate bucket. And we also can do rental apartments, but only when supported by our city insurance program. So that city insurance program writes rental apartments in particular cities across the country. So if you happen to have a risk that is in the in that city insurance program, we'll be able to most likely provide an umbrella for that risk in this Express umbrella program. But just to note, we're not writing any unsupported rentals in this Express umbrella segment currently. And then the other property types would fit into that Express Community Association umbrella, which is all of your types of community associations, from your condo associations to your HOAs, PUDs, etc. And then the next slide will be a closer look at the kind of eligibility requirements for this Express umbrella program. If you want to flip the slide here, thank you. So the Express umbrella eligibility, so a few requirements are: we require the underlying GL carrier to have at least an AM Best rating of A-7 or better. We look at the effective age of the buildings. So we say 25 years or less here. Really, that means either the building has had a full system replacement in the last 25 years or updates to the major systems so that they're in good working condition in the past 25 years. And in those systems we're looking at are the HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and the roof. So all 4 of those components would need to have an effective age of under 25 years. I mentioned earlier we can only consider up to 5 locations for this Express umbrella. So if you happen to have a schedule of 6 location office schedule, unfortunately that would be a little bit too big for this Express product. And we can consider up to 1 owned auto for the Express umbrella eligibility as well. And then there's a few things.
Hey, Chris, sure, I just wanted a quick question. We got one that's really appropriate for right now. You you mentioned no New York, and I don't think anybody listening is wondering why not New York, but I did get a question about why not Georgia. So maybe you or Carly can elaborate on why Georgia isn't a state that we do business in for the Select, or maybe that would be your question, because we do offer it in our real estate umbrella.
Yeah, and actually there's a later slide that touches a little bit on kind of especially these real estate risks, nuclear verdicts, and just kind of how juries and courts are viewing these types of properties. And I think certain areas like Georgia we end up seeing those types of verdicts more often. It just ends up being more difficult to write those risks. I don't know if Carly, if you have anything additional.
Yeah, that's exactly just the litigious state of Georgia.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, no problem. And then just a few things here that would make a risk not eligible for our express umbrella product, which would be if you have a building that's over 20 stories, if you had a single building of more than 100,000 square feet. So obviously, if you're over 20 stories, I'm sure you're also over that 100,000 square feet threshold as well. And then for a full schedule, we can only consider up to 300,000 square feet. So if you had, 5 locations and they're all close to that 100,000 square feet mark, the schedule itself will be over that 300,000 threshold, so would not be eligible for our express umbrella product. And then the next slide here, I'll kick it over to Carly to talk about the real estate umbrella.
Yeah. So the real estate umbrella program is really geared towards your larger real estate clients who need the larger limits. In this program, we can offer up to 140 million in limits, and we offer 5 different quote options in this program, starting at 10 mil, and then we offer the 25 mil, 50 mil, 105 mil, and 140 mil. This product is available nationwide, and it is available to commercial and residential properties. If we go to the next slide, we can take a broader look at the eligibility for this program. So we do require that all of our underlying carriers are AM Best rated, A-6 or better. There's no cap on locations in this program. So, if it doesn't fit Express, we can accept the single locations all the way up to a schedule of 150 locations. There's truly no cap there. There's no cap on autos in this program. And we are typically targeting office buildings, retail buildings, shopping centers, strip malls, enclosed malls as long as they're less than 1 million square feet, light industrial and warehouse buildings, residential apartments, and larger condo associations. To give you an idea of a few program knockouts, the following would not be eligible in our real estate umbrella program. Any locations over 50 stories, any student housing that's affiliated or contracted with a school or university, mobile home, RV parks, assisted living and nursing homes would all not be eligible in this program.
Hey, Carly, real quick, a question that I often get is, what if there's no assistance, but there's pull cords in a senior or over 55 community? What's our take on that?
Great question. So if there are pull cords, then that would be ineligible in our program. What we're truly looking for is the independent senior living, so really geared to the 55 and older community, but it's all independent without any senior type amenities.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. If we go to the next slide, we can talk about the key coverages between the real estate umbrella and the express umbrella. I will start off by discussing the real estate umbrella. And in this program, there's no mandatory assault and battery exclusion. We do have an abuse or molestation exclusion for minors, but this can be removed if favorable underwriting information is provided. We do provide crisis response coverage, unintentional errors or omissions, and broad named insured endorsement to include additional insureds. Also included is a limitation of coverage to specified locations endorsement, which states that newly acquired locations must be reported to the company within 90 days. Chris, do you want to tell us a little bit about Express?
Yeah, thanks, Carly. So yeah, some coverage benefits in our Express real estate umbrella form is we have pay on behalf language in the form. There's 0 retention, so no deductible on the policy. There is a right and duty to defend language in the policy, and the defense is outside the limit, which is a great benefit. If there's a claim that just ends up being, in litigation for a long time, those defense costs can really add up. So it's just a great benefit that the limit of liability isn't eroded due to those defense costs. We are silent on assault and battery, so there's no exclusion in the form. Similar to sexual abuse and molestation, there's no exclusion in the form. We're just silent on that exposure or that. There is a broad named insured endorsement, and there's also the unintentional errors and omissions as well in the form. And then the next slide is on our kind of key program differences between the express real estate umbrella and the real estate umbrella. So I'll start off with kind of going through the express umbrella, and I'll kick it over to Carly. So I mentioned earlier, the express umbrella really is broken into two segments. We have our express real estate and our express community association products. The express umbrella is really for those smaller schedules. So 1 to 5 locations, above that 5 locations threshold, it would be a better fit for Carly's program, the real estate umbrella. And generally those smaller schedules require lower limit needs. So we only have limits up to 10 million in this express umbrella program. We also mentioned earlier that this is available nationwide, the express umbrella, except for 2 states, again, Georgia and New York. You can submit the express umbrella right in our broker portal. And oftentimes you can also quote and bind as a broker as well, assuming there's no referral triggers or any reason why the risk goes to an underwriter. You may be able to go right through the portal and do that all yourself. And we also have lower minimum premiums on this express umbrella product. So for example, our highest limit we can offer is the 10 mil, and our 10 mil minimum premium across most of the country is $2,850. And then Carly,
Chris, can you include D&O on your umbrella if you're writing a condo association or HOA?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so especially for these community associations, we expect there's going to be an underlying D&O, and if the D&O underlying carrier meets our AM Best requirements, we will absolutely follow form with the D&O as well. That's built right into our form. So if you have that coverage and you meet the requirements, we'll be following form for the D&O.
Great,
Yeah,
thank
great
you.
question. Yeah, and then Carly, if you want to hit on some differences in the express umbrella, the real estate umbrella.
Sure, no problem. So for the real estate umbrella, again, this is designed for the larger residential, commercial, and mixed-use properties. We can accommodate the single location or schedules with higher limits needed up to 140 million in limit. Again, we are available in all 50 states. This is not a portal-facing product like Express, so the complete submission will need to be sent through your distinguished sales team. And in this program, we do have the higher minimum premiums, typically starting around about $10,000 in premium for a 10 million umbrella limit.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much. And we did get a few questions prior to the start of the webinar, so we're going to dive into those first. So I'll just kick it off with one to you, Carly. So what's the turnaround time for a submission, for an account that's submitted? How much time do we need before we can quote it?
Yeah, so for the real estate umbrella program, the turnaround time can vary, mostly just due to the back and forth underwriting information that we may need, or if a carrier referral is required. So typical turnaround once the submission is received by the underwriting team ranges about 3 to 7 days, 7 days if a carrier referral is required. And then it helps us a lot when the agencies can provide us with a quote need by date, so we can prioritize submissions and try and meet those deadlines for our brokers. And then I was just going to touch on Express a little bit for Chris for this turnaround time as well. So for the Express umbrella, you as the broker actually can submit the applications through our portal. So depending on the risk, you'll usually be able to quote and potentially even bind yourself using the portal. If for some reason your account triggers the underwriting approval, the turnaround time is still typically only about 2 business days.
Got it. Thank you very much. So let's go to Chris, and just real quickly, what are some of the underwriting factors that you consider?
I think there's a slide for Carly here right before that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So Carly,
That's okay.
what do you require?
Yeah,
Obviously, Chris's information's asked for through the portal. So But you have
Yeah.
stuff that's submitted via an email. What do you ask for?
Absolutely. So we require 5 years of currently valued carrier loss runs. We require our distinguished supplemental application, which can be found on our website. A location schedule or statement of values, and we want this to include location, address, exposures, as well as fire life safety information. And last but not least, we would require all underlying quotes for coverages that we would be scheduling on the umbrella. So in addition to maybe an underlying GL quote, we might, collect an underlying auto or employer's liability, EBL, D&O, just to name a couple. And then for Express, the application process is the same as I just described, but the application can be completed using the portal. And for Express, you only need to collect the underlying general liability quote, and that's because for the Express real estate umbrella, we don't schedule underlying coverages on our umbrella. If we go to the next slide, Chris, could you tell us what the key underwriting factors are when considering premium?
Yeah, so really thinking about rating a risk for the umbrella, we look at a few different things. So first, we'll start with the exposure types. What is this risk? Is it a apartment building, which is going to rate differently than your LRO office building, et cetera? Really, every different exposure type that we look at will have a kind of different rating methodology behind the scenes. We'll next look at the jurisdiction or territory. So we'll either be kind of drilling down to the zip code or maybe the ISO territory, but we have rates built on, based on where the risk is located as well. We're always going to be considering the loss history. So as Carly just mentioned, for her program, you'll be submitting loss runs for each submission. Underwriter will be looking at that loss history via the loss runs. And for our Express umbrella program, typically there's just a few loss related questions in the app. So, if there's no referral rigor or trigger or no, really past losses, we typically will not request the loss runs for those Express accounts, but loss history is always something that we consider in our underwriting process. And then just also mentioning here, if there are kind of proactive safety protocols and training done by the insured, that's also something that we would consider in our process.
Yeah, that kind of leads into our next slide, which is determining how much limits my client would need. So selecting umbrella limits should be taken very seriously. We know that this can be difficult as you're basically trying to predict the magnitude of an event that may or may not happen. So beyond the required amount from banks, we also need to look at all exposures. So here's a few that we would consider. Property amenities and exposures. Does the property include pools, recreational facilities, playgrounds, fire pits, fitness centers? These are all things that open your client up to more liability. Autos. Does your client have a fleet of vehicles and trucks? We know that auto claims have a tendency to have large and frequent lawsuits. Security and safety programs. How tight are your client's risk controls in place? This is just a really small sampling of factors that we need to consider when determining what umbrella limits your client may need. Chris, do you want to talk to us in further detail about why clients need umbrella coverage?
Yeah, so especially in this real estate sector, we're seeing higher judgments and settlements being reached in liability cases, leaving property owners vulnerable to financial loss without proper umbrella limits in place. And then just kind of adding on to that, we see juries and courts place a higher standard of care and responsibility for those landlords and your real estate management type companies, especially in regards to the security and safety on their premises. And really because of that, we see broader contract interpretations, which may result in greater liability exposure for the property owners. And really, it can come down to not having the appropriate amount of umbrella limit could end up being the difference of being able to stay in business or not.
So if we go to the next slide, this will just give us 5 real life examples of losses that have paid out over $1 million. And as you can see from these titles, I mean, these are claims that aren't caused by anything that out of the ordinary. In fact, majority of the schedules that we write have swimming pools or they have elevator exposure. You know, all properties have the risk of slip and falls, fire, life safety concerns. So if we dig into the first example, it's from a pool drowning where a 3-year-old child wandered into the swimming pool area of this condo complex through an unsecured door. The minor was found face down in the pool and died a week later. The property owner settled with the family for $6 million for that claim. In our second example, which could happen anywhere, anywhere that has black ice. In our second example, an apartment resident slipped and fell on a sheet of black ice while walking from the building to his car. He fractured his tibia and fibula and developed complications. Through mediation, this case was settled for millions of dollars as well. And then the last one I'll just read aloud is in regards to the elevator claim. A young man was seriously injured in a commercial office elevator accident. The defendant claimed that the property owner failed to keep all safety hazards in mind. The agreed upon settlement amount was $8.5 million. These are just all good examples of how high claims are paying out these days and why buying the higher limits is needed.
Hey, Carly.
Chris, you want to just...
I was just going to interrupt. We're running really short. And so what I wanted to do is just we will send this presentation out. If you're not currently a distinguished broker or you need access to our portal, we can grant that. Chris, Carly, or I can get you to the right person to take care of that. We did get a couple of questions in, and I'll remind everybody that all the rest of the questions that we've received will be coming out in an FAQ at the end along with the rest of the things. So we did have a question, Chris, I think it's mostly for you, but if you have a condo building in Florida, if all of the building updates are not complete, will it still be eligible if it's just the roof that's been updated?
Yeah, so it'll come down to, if it's a condo building and there's common areas that are the responsibility of the association, we probably would have to decline those risks if they haven't been updated in over 25 years, the major systems. We oftentimes will work with the broker to understand, are the unit owners actually responsible for everything? Are they responsible for the plumbing, HVAC, and electrical? So maybe then it's on the responsibility of the unit owner, not the association. So we can underwrite through that, but that's generally kind of the response there.
Got it. Okay. Well, I want to be respectful of everybody's time today. And so we will, like I said, get you the answers to any of the questions that are still coming in. I wanted to ask each panelist one last quick question. So in like 10 seconds, what's your final piece of advice to somebody looking for real estate umbrellas with Distinguished? So I'll start with you, Chris.
Sure. Yeah, I would just say check out our website, not just for these real estate umbrella products. So we also have our community association suite of products, restaurants, hotels, et cetera. It's just a really probably the best spot for you as a broker to go and really quickly get the most up-to-date information about our programs.
Agreed. Carly?
And I would just like to say that we have such a large team of sales executives and underwriters who are all here to help. So whether it's new or renewal business, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we can all assist with pre-qualifying your submissions and making sure that they're placed with the right program.
Wonderful. Well, thanks to everyone who joined us for today's webinar, and thanks especially to you, Carly and Chris, for agreeing to come on and discuss our programs. So everyone, have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much for having us. It was great.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.